Hello the internets, welcome back to Waifus. I'm Sefhi, your favorite gambling addict, and today I want to talk a little bit about Yggdrasil, Dixite, and the teams that I've been personally using to clear mono elemental content. Now, these are just the teams that I've been using. Always remember that how much you can push on most content in this game is going to be tied to what apostles you have, how many dupes they have, and also, really important, what cards do you have and how many dupes they have as well, right? So this is a reference, but always take it and then adapt based on what you currently have yourself, right? And also all of the global combat power systems like the crayons, the Fab Lab, etc. Now, that's it for the intro. Let's jump directly into campaign, a little bit into adventure, since that's easier to show all of the characters. And I'm going to be going personality by personality. Like I said earlier, this is going to be just a boilerplate for you guys to change based on your account and what you have. Now, that's it. Let's start with everyone's favorite, the best personality in the game. Hands down. Innocent. I'm also going to be giving some alternatives, but I'm going to be talking about what I personally believe are the core units on each team right now. And when it comes to Innocence, the core units we currently have are going to be your Vivi, it's going to be your Naya, it's going to be your Erpin, and also you could even be including Ron in here, these 4 girls. You could even remove Ron as a core unit. It's mostly these 3 on top, the ones that will be able to make you progress through the stages that are Innocent weak, right? Vivi as your tank, even without the aside, the Yearning. Erpin as the main damage dealer. There is no actual hyper carry in this team. Erpin is a good deep DPS, but her main focus will be when we get someone else act as a buffer while also having nice damage herself, right? But for now, she's our main carry, and then Naya as our healer, one of the best single target healers in the game by far. Then you have Ron, who will be acting as a sub-tank, off-tank, whatever you want to call it, and also a buffer. Pretty nice kid, I like her a lot, I've been using her quite a bit since she came out. Now, the rest is still a little bit of a filler on what you have. Gavia has really good synergy with everyone on the team. The green characters are focused a lot around shields, as you have seen with Vivi, as you have seen with Gavia, and even more characters we'll get in the future with Ayla, with Opal, and a bunch of other girls. So shields are always going to be a good synergy, and Gavia fits there well. I don't know if we'll use Gavia long term. I personally think she will be one of the characters we'll remove from this team as we get other units, because there is so many characters coming in the future when it comes to the Innocent personality and any personality. Obviously, like if we go to the Korean characters we're missing, there is so many characters coming in the future that will be able to join the team. So I think Gavia long term will not be here. For now, obviously you can't use her. Now, the last character here heavily depends on what you're doing. You could be using Spiky for more damage, you could be using Mago for extra heals, you could be using Hailey for extra damage as well, just like a Spiky. My least favorite is Sylphir. Even on the raid that was like almost for her, for mid lane characters and physical damage, she was not the hyper carry. Like she is just not a good DPS in my opinion, but you can't use her if you like it, right? So Spiky, Hailey, and Sylphir are the 3 characters you could use for more damage. In my opinion, Hailey is the best one out of the 3. Mago if you need more heals, and the rest, the other 4 characters are just not good regardless of what you do with them, right? So those are the characters that I would personally be running right now when it comes to the Innocent team. Let's move now into Compose, the blue team. One of the strongest teams at the moment, thanks to Ed, is the core tank of this team. Then you have the 2 damage dealers here that are fantastic, both Elena and Aya. Aya is also buffing everyone else, right? Elena is as strong as a lot of DLDs, her damage is stupid. And then you have your healer, which is going to be Picora. Now, the other 2 spots really change based on the type of content you're doing. You could still be running Velvet and Ed together, no problem. You can actually run both of them and there is no issue on that. I personally am running both of them right now. Depending on the content, I might be removing her. I like running Amelia a lot. Amelia will remain in this team for a while. Her utility is what keeps her here. In the future, we might see her fall off, but for now, her utility and synergy with Elena is really good. So those 5 characters are almost mandatory. You could say you can remove Amelia, but these 4 are the core units right now here. The last character, like I was saying earlier, I like always using Amelia, and then you have one extra spot, which could be, for example, more heals with Meluna, could be more damage with Trickcal, could be single target damage with Scylla. Scylla has been doing pretty good on dimensional clashes, or even could be Velvet if you need an extra tank or just to survive longer. I don't think Velvet is necessary, but it can be used. You can still use both of them. If you don't have Ed, Velvet works, but also always remember she's not gonna be a fantastic tank, right? So that's basically the team I'd be using, these 5 girls, and then the last spot I switch around depending what I need. Most of the time, however, I've been running Trickcal for the extra damage because I like her. She's pretty cute. Those are the characters I've been using. When it comes to SP and when it comes to Jade, you can use SP when it comes to bosses for her silence. I don't think you will be using her anywhere else. There's been people using Lace for her electrocution on the ultimate. I think it's not worth it, and an investment that's gonna be too expensive for most people. But SP can be used, okay? SP is a nice character. I just personally prefer Trickcal because I think she's cuter, right? That's it. And when it comes to Jade, I don't think it's a good DPS, but if you fully invest into her, honestly, there is not gonna be that much difference between running Trickcal or her. I just prefer Trickcal because I think she's cuter. That said, that is my team for Compose, right? That's what I've been running for Compose. Let's move a little bit into my team, and this is where we have the latest aside. Now, Leeds and Chloe are going to be the core on the front line. There is a couple more characters you can put in here. We'll talk about that. You have your Diana, which is the healer and the buffer as well for this team. And then there is no main DPS until we got Seist. Seist is the character that can deal the most damage on this team thanks to the aside now. If you don't have the aside on Seist, there is no hyper carry. You can still, however, run any of these characters, right? Be it your Shady, be it your Leeds, even Chloe can deal good damage. Your Mayo, your Belita, your Alice, all of those characters can be used if you fully focus on them for the items as your main hyper carry. But it depends on what you have invested. But the one that's actually being the hyper carry right now is going to be Seist, and she's also buffing everyone else over 2 other DPSs. Now, there is 2 more spots, and this depends what you have. A lot of people like running Shady. My Shady is not that invested, so I usually don't run her. I use Alice, even though they're close in combat power, for the simple reason that the Alice card, if you have the Alice card artifact, it will carry you a lot. Even at low investment, it will carry you a lot. So if you have the Alice card, use Alice. If you don't have the Alice card, I would recommend going for Shady for the utility, and because this front line is really strong. And then the last spot can either be more damage or more utility. A lot of people focus on Mayo for the raids. A lot of people like running Belita for the magic damage as well. Obviously, you cannot run Ifrit, and I wouldn't recommend it. And any of the lower rated characters are not that great. So these 5 characters, and then the last one depends on what you have. I would recommend running Alice if you have the card. If not, something else. That's for the Mad team. And now we move into the cute Vivacious team. Now, Viva has a pretty solid team, but not a lot of alternatives that are good, in my opinion. The core team here, obviously, is going to be your Ui, it's going to be your Epica, and then you have the aside girl, which is going to be Momo. Now, few more things here. Butter, the buffer on this team, the best doggo, and also decent damage on herself, right? But she's going to be acting as a buffer here rather than anything else. Epica is going to be your main damage dealer. It's a fantastic character. Her damage is stupid. Ui would be considered the second strongest character in the game after Yomi, probably. One of the characters you can focus on investing no problem, and will be used for the next 2 years, probably. And then you have your Momo with the aside. It's rivaling Epica and even doing more damage depending on the situation of what you're doing, right? So both Momo and Epica will be your damage dealers. Butter is your sub DPS with your buffs. Ui is your healer. And then you have obviously the only alternative for now, the only option for now is going to be Rude as your tank. We're getting Selene next week. We'll see if she can compete or not. But this is the core team at the moment. Now, the last spot, it really depends on what you are doing, or it really depends on the content you are doing. I usually run Chopin for the extra heals, but Chopin can get herself killed. I do not like Rufo, but on PvP she can still be used. Kana is a decent option for PvE, but in my opinion, if you're gonna be running Kana and you have Chopin, just invest in Chopin because the utility and the heals will be a lot more useful. And then the other character, there is not a single one that is good. The only one that you could be saying, no, it's actually a good character is Chibi, and it's only for Dreamland, okay? Only for Dreamland. If you are not doing Dreamland, there is no reason to be running Chibi. So those 5 characters are the core, and then the last one really depends on you. I personally been using Chopin a lot. And And now we can move into the last team, the one with the most options, and that is the press, everyone favorite. I think there is not much to say here. Most people already know what the press meta is going to be, but let's jump and talk about that. For your front line, there is a few characters you could be running. For the most part, the popular ones are going to be Komi as your main tank or Snorky. Most people are running both of them together because Snorky is not a main tank. Snorky moves around the map a lot, back and forth, chasing enemies. So she can't get your team killed if she's the only tank. I will suggest Komi remains your main tank, Snorky your sub tank, and also utility / DPS. If you want to run someone else on the front line, the only other real option in my opinion is Kidian. A really strong damage dealer. The more items you put in her, the higher she will scale with the headbutts. I don't like Rim. I don't think she's a good character. We were using her because there was no other alternative early on. And you can, instead of Snorky, use Festa. Festa is a character that is good only because of her noise reduction. If you have her invested for raids, she's been used a lot. I personally didn't invest in mine, so I don't care too much about Festa. But if you did invest in her, she can be used, okay? So that's also an option. I just been running Snorky because I like her more. When it comes to the mid lane, the biggest character here is going to be Yomi, because that is the core character here as a damage dealer, as a healer, as a buffer, and as a debuffer, the strongest character in the game. You all know that Yomi is just a stupid unit that was the first banner we got in Global. When she gets her aside, I don't want to even imagine what she's gonna do. And then the other character, if we're talking about core units removing a Snorky, would be Shion. These 4 characters are the core of the Depressed teams. You could even say these 3 characters are the core of the Depressed teams, and then the rest changes heavily based on what you have, right? Gideon does really good damage and is a strong character. You guys can invest in her, no problem. Snorky, like we were talking about earlier, is a great off-tank sub DPS with some utility with her aside, which is great. And then you have one more slot, which is going to be changing based on the content you are doing. If you need more heals, for example, you can run Hilde, you can run Posher. Posher, it's more RNG on the heals, it still works. I like running Hilde personally. This is usually what I run. If you don't need more heals because somehow Yomi is enough, which most of the time it will not be, you could be running also your Ashur as an extra damage and utility because she's really good against assassins and enemies that target the backline. You could be running your Blanchett. It's a pretty nice magic damage dealer, but I'm kinda biased. I think she's the most resentable one on this team if we're talking about the core characters, right? I wouldn't recommend her as much as Ashur or obviously as your extra healer, which is gonna be Hilde. The rest of the characters are not that good. Levi is not a good unit. She's like Rim. We were only using Levi because there was nothing else available to us, right? But that's basically what I've been running also for my Depressed team. This can change a lot. You can be removing a Snorky here and putting your Ashur, or maybe putting another mid lane if you need it. The Depressed team to me is the one that has the most options when it comes to characters that are actually usable and good. So that's what I've been running. Those are the teams that I use myself personally to clear all of the Yggdrasil dig side. Like I said earlier, Yggdrasil dig side and content overall in this game will always heavily depend on combat power deficit and how lucky you were with your dupes and with the artifacts and rune cards, alright? So just take it as a reference, a boilerplate, and based on those change to adapt to what you have. That's it, enough japping, enough ranting. As usual, we are live every single day. You guys have the links in the description down below. Any questions you guys may have, feel free to leave a comment down below. Good luck with your pool, the internet, and I'll see you in the next one.